We're going to our speaker today, Jackie Clayton. She is the lead counselor for the entire district. So she is the one with all the information and is going to present to you today. And she'll let you know how to contact her if you have specific questions after this. Without any further ado, Ms. Clayton, it is your turn. And here's a clicker, and I'll be right there.
Perfect. And we have a lot of people online who came on for this presentation. Amazing. So you have a full house on here.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for having me. I appreciate all the work that you do as UPC. I have a couple little ones in the district as well. I'm a graduate of PVSchools and Horizon, so I've been here a long time. This is our first year of actually having a district lead counselor full-time at the district level. Which we're super excited about. It's been a part-time position in addition to us being full-time counselors in the previous years. Before we get started, I do have this QR code up here. I would love to gather some information from the families on what you guys do know about the transition from elementary to middle and from middle to high school. Because that'll just help me elaborate more on our presentations that I give every couple of years for you. There is a ton of information covered in this presentation today. You all have the live Canva link. And also throughout the presentation, you're going to see the link button down here. Those are live links for you to get to all the additional resources because I'm not going to be able to go too far into depth, but I can answer any additional questions after the presentation.
Yeah, this is a dumb tech question, but how do you do the link? So you just click on it?
Yep.
If I'm on the presentation.
If you're on the presentation, if you're on the presentation, you click directly on it, it'll send you to an alternative page. I'm trying to get fancy with all this tech stuff, right? Okay, so these are the things we're going to cover today, and this is a short little survey just to help me. Did everybody get a chance to do the QR code?
How do you go to the presentation?
I think you guys were hearing it after.
It didn't go out before the presentation, so
Okay.
But they will get it after.
Okay. Yep. All right. So today we're going to cover quite a few topics. ASCA. School counselor support and other support that your students will have at middle school and high school level. We're going to break down the transitions for elementary to middle and middle to high school. We'll talk about other post-secondary support and family partnerships that we would love to have from you all, and then some final takeaways. So I will move pretty quickly, but if there is something that you're like, I really need an answer to that, please raise your hand and we'll pause for a moment. Okay, so transitions are very critical for our students and they are intentional, right? So we're going to talk about that the expectations for academics change, the social emotional piece change for your student, and you guys as families are essential to this transition in order for your student to be successful. So along with that, we want to make sure that the partnership between your school counselors and you as families are tight so that your student will be successful at the middle or the high school level. So first I want to talk about ASCA. This is the American School Counselor Association. It is the only model for school counselors worldwide, right? It's our framework, it's our system. And so there are 3 domains that school counselors function in. That's academic, career and post-secondary, and social emotional. And I'm going to break those down as well. Counselors have mindsets and behaviors. We call these standards. Just like teachers have standards, so do school counselors. And so I've linked the school counselor mindsets and behaviors and competencies for you if you were interested. And I'm going to go a little bit more into detail in a minute when we talk about CCAPs and why that makes sense. But these are the mindsets and behaviors that I am using in my presentation today with you all. So these are the 4 areas I'm focusing on. Okay. So with the school counseling program, again, we focus on these 3 areas. In the academic, that's your course planning, your scheduling, right? Progress monitoring and making sure your student is on track for graduation at the end of high school. Post-secondary wise, we talk about career exploration. You heard me say the word ECAP. I'm going to go over that again. And then college and workforce readiness. And then with the social emotional, this is more about those soft skills. So building resiliency, self-advocacy, stress management, and belonging on their campus. That's the areas we cover. So school counselors are proactive. We're just not in crisis mode. We are there to help your students in all 3 of those domains. Okay. So ASCA model is a data-driven model. So we use data as school counselors to drive our goals and put certain things into place, interventions, and make sure that all students have access to all opportunities. So that type of data, we pull attendance, grades, engagement, and then obviously those three indicators. If we're seeing discipline issues, then maybe we can come up with an intervention for that. But the data is really what drives your school counselor goals on your site, and it's site specific. Okay, so what are the difference with school counselors? Support evolves as they grow, okay? So at the middle school level, they're focusing more on the transition, organizational skills, building those social emotional skills, right? Because they're meeting new peers and bigger circles. It is important that we have higher family involvement at the middle school level from you all, because they do have high caseload. Our middle school counselors are at a 1 to 500 ratio. So most of our middle schools in this district have 1, maybe 2 max school counselors. So it's very high. All right, for the high school, the focus is mainly academic. So it's graduation, looking at your transcripts, talking to your students about what is their plan for after high school. And the emphasis here is really on student self-advocacy. Okay, we want the students to be driving. What are your goals, right? And so you're going to see lesser family involvement here, but we still want you involved, but we really want to be encouraging your student to come in and talk to your counselors and advocate. Ratios are still very high for high school as well. They are at a 1 to 400 ratio. So again, most high schools, we have 1 with 3 counselors right now, and then most have at least 4. Some of our bigger schools have 5 or 6 or 7, depending on how many students are on that campus. Okay. So per ASCA, the recommended ratio, does anybody know what it is? Does anybody want to guess?
100?
What the recommended
90.
ratio?
1 to 100.
I wish that would be super nice. It is actually recommended 1 to 250. When that recommendation is at that level, you build a tighter relationship. Students feel more care and known for. So we would love to get our numbers down, but right now that's why they're there.
So if those are the standards you're following and we have double the ratio, are there standards that we deprioritize, or do we just worry about escalation based kids that come versus proactive? Like, how do you manage the difference there?
So it's really hard because we would love to be doing more tier 1 proactive things in the middle school and high school level as school counselors, but because of the caseloads, it's a lot of reactive. We're constantly doing crisis mode, and not every campus also has a social worker. So if we don't, then that means your counselors are picking that up as well. So yeah, it's hard. I mean, the goal, the dream would be to have lower ratios. We'd have better relationships with our kids, and then we could get in the classrooms more and do proactive stuff. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to talk about ECAP and Schoolinks. ECAP is your Educational Career Action Plan. This is a mandated requirement for the state of Arizona. So students need to have a 4-year plan, and it also revolves around their academic, career, post-secondary, and extracurricular. Like, they're going to build their resume in here. They're going to take different assessments, and I'll show you that in a second. But their course planner is part of their ECAP. And at the end of senior year, the state actually audits us to see if all of our students have completed their ECAP plan. Now, at this time, middle school does not have a required or mandated ECAP. But it is in the works, and the policy will probably go into effect in the next 2 to 3 years statewide, which we're actually very excited about. Now that we've added Schoolinks at the middle school level, we are expanding, and we are going to start our 7th and 8th grade ECAPs next year. So super happy about that. So we're getting ahead of the policy. We know it's coming, and we're putting these things into action for us. I have also included the links for onboarding as a parent in both English and Spanish. And then up at the top is the link to the state website about the requirement for an ECAP and why it's necessary and why we put that into effect in 2008. And then last night, I actually got to speak with several families, hopefully. The 8th grade Guardian Night for Schoolinks, we had over 350 families join us online last night. It was awesome. So I will be sharing that link out as well. Yep.
So Schoolinks is the place that they do their ECAP, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
It is. Yep. Okay, so this is our scope and sequence for 7th through 12th grade. This is their ECAP plan. And so 9th through 12th grade, we've been doing this for many, many years, since 2008. This is the first year, and our middle school counselors have worked on developing their scope and sequence and what will be required starting next year for our students. And you can see the Ask Us standards. These are the standards that we have decided go along with those ECAP lessons that the state is going to be asking us to make sure they're meeting. In Schoolinks, there are a bunch of assessments that our students are able to do. And so each year we have them do different assessments. And you can see that broken down. And then we have them set goals, academic, post-secondary, career goals, depending on what they're learning that year as part of their ECAP. And then we do have some additional learning hubs and to-do items that they have to accomplish. That makes sense? Yeah. Okay. And then I just kind of put the focus of what each of our grade levels are. The kids in 7th grade are going to be learning about their learning style, like what they're best at. And then in 8th grade, they really explore the career exploration. 9th grade is more about self-awareness, like who am I? What do I really want to be interested in, right? And then we dig deeper in 10th grade into the career part. 11th grade, we start exploring colleges. And in 12th grade, we do the post-secondary planning. And all of this happens in Schoolinks. And you as a parent have access to all of this now. Does anybody remember our Naviance days? The old college and career platform? There was no way for parents to get in. So this was one of the reasons we moved to Schoolinks. It's more engaging. Our parents have full access. You guys can make comments in there to the counselors as well. So it's a really great tool. So a little bit about the registration process. If you are an elementary parent right now and your student is going to middle school, the middle school counselor should be meeting. I think they started in December. They're finishing up now to pick those classes. They're not picking them in Schoolinks. Plan is for that to happen next year. Okay, so this is the first year for high school registration to happen in Schoolinks. Next year, 6th and 7th grade registration will be happening in Schoolinks. And then we are hoping to bring 6th grade onto our platform in the next year or two to really get them started on career exploration in the 6th grade before they get to middle school. Okay, for middle school to high school students registration, this is happening right now this week, and that's why I had the Schoolinks presentation last night. Counselors are coming out to the sites on these dates. They are going through how students should register using the Schoolinks course planner. And then students must submit everything by this Sunday. Okay, that's their card. We're going away from paper. Everything is digital now. So they will submit that, and that information will then roll into Infinite Campus for us at the end of the month so that administrators can finalize their numbers and hire staffing. That's why it's really important for parents to make sure they're submitting the courses they want. Our students' choices drive our hiring process. What the kids want is how we hire the teachers that we need. If that makes sense. Questions on the registration process? Yes.
I have 5th graders, so they come to the elementary schools for 6th grade, or is that something that happens at the middle school?
It happens at the middle school because I believe the 6th graders,
See.
they like take them up to the middle
Oh,
school.
cute.
If I'm understanding correctly, because I know Desert Shadows did that today. I think they're doing that today. The 6th graders are coming up and they're registering them and taking them on a tour. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I want to talking about the CTE pathways. So this is career and technical education. We have a ton of it in our district. And I talked a lot about this on the Schoolinks last night, but this is the first page of the student's course planner for high school. When they open it up, depending on the high school they're assigned to, it will show them all of the CTE pathways that school offers. So it's based on the school. And then if the students pick a pathway, it preloads it into their course planner for them, which is a great option. Now, your student does not have to pick a CTE pathway right away. They can skip that spot, but we really want them to start to explore. Research does show students that are in CTE pathways are more engaged in school. They are more likely to graduate on time, and their skills are ready to go as soon as they graduate. A lot of these kids in the CTE pathways are getting certifications, which makes them more competitive when they're applying to colleges or trade schools or just getting a job. So we are really pushing the CTE pathways, and that's why it's the first slide in course planner.
Nice. Sorry. If they do that, can they still add in other classes as well, or does it auto-populate a specified path for them?
No, so it's going to auto-populate just that pathway. And then when the kids go through all the other pieces and they can count their classes, they can also delete after the fact. Yeah, nothing's locking them in. All right, this is a new feature. Course fees are challenging for us to find out how much is this class and when does it change, right? Well, the nice part of Schoolinks is this is a nice feature for us. So the student selected photography, and if you look, it's got these little numbers down here and a dollar sign. If there's a dollar sign, that means there is a fee associated with that class. I spent all weekend doing that. You just have to hit the little question mark. When you do that, it pops up the course description and all the information about the class. And then when you see the dollar sign, you hover over it and the little fee pops up. How cool is that?
That's really cool.
Yes. I know this was something families were really asking for. So that was something we really focused on and was able to make happen. Okay, so that's general information. I'm now, oh, yeah.
One question, as you talked about the CTE piece, if a kid fills out their survey and it tells them what they might be interested in and then populates classes, I assume it only populates classes at the high school they're at. Is there a way for it to be sophisticated enough to say, but there's this class at this high school that might, right? So that they can make an even more informed decision if there's a track somewhere else.
So that's us expanding down to middle school, which we're actually working on. And I'm going to share a little bit more in a few minutes on that piece, but it's not that sophisticated yet. I think there's a ton of bells and whistles in there that I might eventually be able to see make happen, but
yeah,
there's a lot of cool things in here. All right, so let's talk about elementary to middle. These are all the big changes. How many of you are nervous about your student going from elementary to middle? Yes, and that's natural. That's okay. But what we really want to remember is that this is the bridge, okay? We know they're not going to get everything right out the gates, and that's okay. This is a learning process for them. Okay, so we want to be able to make sure that we're partnering with our families and our school counselors to help support your student as they go into these new areas. So you're going to see a rapid change in their physical and emotional behaviors, hormones, right? Is anybody seeing it yet? They're like, oh no, right? Okay. So that's for sure. You are going to start to see the difference in their thinking as far as about themselves and about the world. Like they're starting to get more inquisitive about that. Their peers are going to be huge influence on them, right? Okay. Relationships are important. Their peers are important. And so we want to be able to find a way to give them enough structure, but at the same time, some autonomy to grow and figure out who they are, right? And that's the key with this transition to middle school. Okay, so what you should know as a family, relationships are going to change. You're going to probably go, where did my little girl or boy go? Oh my goodness, I'd like that one back, right? But it's going to change, but they're still going to need support. So even though they might be mad, they still need you, okay? Mistakes are part of learning. Let them make mistakes. Encourage them to ask lots of questions. Go see the counselor. You don't have to wait for the counselor to pull you down. They can go up and see us. Schools are designed to promote independence, right? But that there's safety around them. There's adults there, but we're encouraging them to gain more independence. The key thing I can tell you here is resilience is the most important. Making those mistakes, being able to be resilient and get through them is what's going to help your student grow, not perfection. And I've been doing the counseling for a long time. I was actually the counselor at PV High School for the CREST program for a very long time. And these students more and more today are putting more pressure on themselves. And so as families and support systems, we want to make sure they know it's okay to make a mistake. You don't have to be perfect, okay? Because they're the ones that are putting the pressure on themselves. Okay, so we're there to support them. Finally, attend the new student camp. Every middle school typically has a coming to middle school camp. It's usually a few days before the teachers return, I want to say. So definitely figure that part out right away as soon as possible, and then make sure they go so that they feel comfortable on day one. Okay, this is exciting. So what does a middle school schedule actually look like? So they're going to have 4 core classes, obviously English, math, science, and social studies. And then they get 2 electives, which is a bummer because 2 electives doesn't seem like enough, right? In middle school, like, oh, I want to learn all this stuff. So they can choose from PE, world language, fine art, CTE, technology, so much. But this is really a time for them to start focusing on exploration and skill building. So this is where I want to say we're expanding down, and we are super excited. This is our little flyer we made. But we have created a course called Discover Your Future. And most middle schools have put it on the 6th and 7th grade registration card. We really want to see kids sign up for this. This is an opportunity where they're going to get hands-on experience in all of those CTE pathways that we have in the high school, so they can start to figure out, maybe I'm interested in this, and what high school does that program belong to? So this Discover Your Future class, we're excited about it. Please encourage your families to reach out to your sites, and if that's something you would like for your student to take, go ahead and get registered, but we're building on that. And I have Melinda Villalobos over here. This is our college and career coordinator. I'm going to introduce her later too, but she's a huge part of what we're doing with the CTE pathway and program growing. Yes.
Will every school have this site, every middle school, or this option?
It's administrative. Administrators are allowed to put it on the card or not.
Okay.
So that's why I would say reach out to your site to see if they are offering it.
Yeah, I think it was a little unclear what it is or what it was, so.
Yeah.
That might be a challenge for registration now, but if we have more information.
So we just made the flyer, so I can definitely, you guys can send that out. And we're really hoping that with the Schoolinks and the assessments and the ECAP, they'll be doing a lot of those pieces in this course as well. But the focus is mainly on hands-on learning all of our 24 programs in the district before they leave leave middle school.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was tied to CTE.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
How does the electives work? Like, can they do the same elective every time, or is it required to switch, just so you're prepared mentally for explaining this to our children?
Some middle schools do it on a quarter basis.
Okay.
They switch every quarter, and
So you
some are on
wouldn't
a
just take
semester.
like one class over next.
Yeah, like an 8 week, and then some are semester based.
Okay.
Usually your choirs
Understand.
and your fine arts and stuff are semester based, your
Okay.
bands.
Yeah.
So it depends on the class, but a lot of the like
Okay.
little small CTE and tech and STEM classes, I think are 8-week courses.
Okay.
Then we
Yeah.
can do full year.
Yeah.
For CTE ones that have a fee associated with them, is there financial assistance if people are needing financial assistance to cover the fee? How do
So,
they?
as long as families reach out to administration and let them know that there's a concern and a financial need, every site handles that individually.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so do middle school grades matter? I hear this all the time. Yes, they matter. They don't transfer to high school, so a lot of our kids get that idea of, well, it's not like it's permanent, right? And so we really want to change that mindset, because what they're learning in middle school is the foundation for how they're going to be successful in high school. So if they're not really like, oh, math's fine, I just don't really care, that's going to hurt them down the road. So we really want them to know, yes, it's not a permanent record, but it's going to help your foundational success. Now, math and world language at the middle school, if taught by a high school qualified teacher, does roll onto your transcript for high school. So a lot of our kids are getting a math and a language credit.
I will say conversely, listening to middle school teachers do a presentation, one thing they said is, as from a parent perspective, not to necessarily say this to your child, but like middle school is a great time to let them fail so that they understand these are the real expectations and get them ready for high school. So like as a parent, don't freak out about their grades. Use that as like the learning ground to say, all right, well, what did we do wrong this quarter? Let's make it better. Let's figure it out, and not like.
And exploring and getting to learn new things, and attendance is huge for them. Like setting that skill set that coming to school every day is important is going to help them in high school.
I have a question about world language for the kids who take it in middle school and then it rolls over and counts for high school. Now, I know that in high school, they don't actually need a world language to graduate. So this is all about if they go on to college, how many years they need. So the question is, if they take it in middle school, does that count as a year to a college? Does ASU say, yes, that's one of the 2 or 3 years, or does it only count if once they're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior?
No, so it will count.
Okay.
So typically universities look at the last year of language that your student takes.
Okay.
So if I only see 5, 6 on my transcript, they know you did 3 years of language. Yeah. Now, for scholarship purposes, they want to see that 16A bore on the transcript. That's where it gets tricky. So yes, the 1, 2 for middle school will be permanently on the transcript. So yes, that counts as a first year. Then you've got 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So to successfully support your 7th grade student going into middle school, make sure you are establishing routines right away, helping get them organized, but also giving them responsibility. Monitoring attendance and engagement is important. Promote activities on campus. Get involved as much as you can. We know the kids that are involved are happy and excited to come to school, so we really want to build that. And then build a relationship with your school counselor, please. I know it can be intimidating, like, oh, I'm not going to call the school counselor, but please reach out to us. I know our caseloads are high, but we do want to help support your child any way we can. Okay, so before we go into the high school transition, I want to briefly talk about summer school because this is probably the hottest topic that comes up every single year, and I just want to make sure we have this clarified. 8th graders going into 9th grade. These are your only options for summer school before high school. In-person PE only. No online. No online. No online. No online.
But they can do online after 9th grade, so they can
Yes.
do it between 9th grade and 10th grade.
Correct. So after they finish 9th grade, you are more than welcome to then do the PE credit online for free. You just cannot do it before they are in high school.
Is PE required? Is that why this exists?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You
Wait, why is it only PE?
need a full credit to graduate
Oh.
from high school with PE.
Then you don't have
okay?
to take it in the school
And
year.
if
if you-
they do it,
It's only a half
if
credit.
they do it after they finish 9th grade and it's online, is it only PE or is it PE and life
So our
concepts?
online option is a merge of both. It's health and physical. So they would take the half a credit online and then the following summer have to take the same class again online to get the full credit.
Can they do it
Yes, it's asynchronous. It's a 3-week class.
not during summer, but during the school year?
Yes, so
Online?
most freshmen take PE in person, but again, it takes up one of your spots in one of your electives. So if there's something else your student is wanting to take, that's why we have options to do PE a different way.
'Cause
Not every kid wants to take it in person.
Like my student is interested, I have a student going into 9th grade and they're interested in 2 different CTE paths. Because if they're at this age group and they then have whatever to discover, and it's 2 distinctive different CTE paths.
Yep.
So like he would want to explore both of those freshman year, but then.
The PE blocks you, right?
Yes, well, or you have to get rid of the Spanish or the French or what, you have to get rid of the language, so it's either PE or language, so how do you navigate that forward?
Right, and I'm gonna go into graduation requirements, and I think I can explain a little bit more at that point, but I wanna finish the summer
Yes.
school piece first. So in-person PE only, you can do it this summer if you are really eager and wanna get out of the way, but it's gonna cost you $220 per session. The $440 for 6 weeks, PE's done. Or you wait until after 9th grade to do PE. PE is a full credit. Half of it is life concepts and half of it is physical. Life concepts is the health portion. For the state of Arizona, you have to pass the CPR requirements, and that's what's in the life class. That one cannot be avoided. Okay. The physical one could be weightlifting, marching band, ROTC, all those different PE options we've provided. So if your student is a band student, then you can just do marching band and concert band in the spring, and then take life concepts in the summer after 9th grade. And then that way it's not taking up something in your schedule, okay? Spanish is allowed if students want to do Spanish 1, 2 before they start high school. That's another way that you can also try and get the language out of the way. It is with school counselor approval though. So you would call your high school and say, I would like my student to be able to take Spanish this summer. And then we let community know that they are approved and you can register them.
Is that online or in person?
That one's in person. Yep.
Is that a cost as well? Or?
Yep, they're $220 each for in person. Yep. We do offer now a class called Math Jumpstart. We started it 2 years ago for students that might have struggled with their algebra skills in middle school. It's been very popular. The students that were actually in it last year are being very successful right now in our classes. So if this is something that you think your student might benefit from, it is only for 8th grade going into 9th grade students. There's no other older kids in that class. Okay. All right, so opting out of a middle school grade. So math and world language can roll over to your high school transcript. That doesn't mean you really want it to either. So you guys have to decide, and you get to do that by the end of 9th grade. So after they finish that 9th grade year, then you look and assess, how did they do? Do I want this on their permanent record, or do I want to remove it? This is your one and only chance. The counselor or the registrar will send out a Google form typically to the families who have kids that have a grade from middle school. Those are the only ones that get emailed. And it says, do you want to leave this on the transcript or not? Okay. This is important if a weighted GPA is important for your student, because the majority of our middle school classes are not weighted. They're not honors. This is the first year that honors algebra 1-2 is offered at the middle school. Because I used to have a lot of kids that would remove, the parents were like, no, take it off, because you're lowering your weighted GPA from that algebra grade that they got in middle school. Okay, but now the honors algebra is an honor, so you probably want to keep that if they got 8s. That's great. Okay, but the language, Spanish 1-2 is not a weighted class anywhere in the district. So if you keep that on the transcript from middle school, that for sure will lower the GPA. Now you can take it off and your student still goes into 3-4 honors. And now I'm not impacting my GPA.
It's just
like
the
an
way
A.
that,
The weighted.
for out of state colleges.
Not necessarily. So that's where it's a double-edged sword, right? So universities across the country use the unweighted GPA to even the playing field, because every state has like, California needs 100 credits to graduate. We need 22. Texas needs like 50, right? So we have to level the playing field. So they look at the unweighted GPA. But then if you're looking for like honors colleges or competitive schools, they are also going to take your weighted into consideration. So yes, a majority of our kids like can get a full ride to ASU, right? But if you only did all regular, then trying to get in the honors college is going to be hard because you didn't take any honors in AP. So
It also probably impacts like valedictorian status of the school.
It really does. Oh, I mean, I've had kids that are, in their. It's being, but yeah.
So this is opting out though. It will automatically go unless you fill out the form. So if you
Math
miss
and
the
language?
email, then if you're opted in automatic.
you're opted in automatically and it's already on there and you cannot remove it after the 9th grade year ends.
But do the high schools use the weighted when they do the class rank? So that
Yes.
even if the college is doing just the unweighted, it's still gonna, if they look at your class rank, it's gonna show, so that's why it still matters.
And we don't do class ranks in our district. We are class percentiles. So the top 1%, the top 10 students, we don't have a valedictorian anymore. And that was because it was getting so competitive and people were trying to work the system to, so now we just do a top 1%.
There's not honors PE though. So
There's no honors
so
PE.
PE, my concepts takes your grade downs.
It does, but kids that are trying to play the weighted GPA game will wait until the spring of senior year to take their PE credit. So their GPA, if possible, the 5.0 in admission
Oh my
times.
God.
And then once you take PE, your GPA falls to about a 4.96. That's really the difference.
That's insane.
Yeah, but it's
Unless
for
you take it
competitive.
when it's recommended, and it takes it down to 4.75.
Yes, so it depends what the objective is for after high school. And if you want the honors or not the honors. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna go from middle to high school. So what changes for this? Well, they're gonna have more choices, they're gonna have more responsibility, more autonomy. The social circle is gonna get even bigger because now we've got multiple middle schools coming into a high school. And this is where credit bearing starts from the get-go. That first semester, everything they're taking is impacting their post-secondary plan, especially if college is in that option, because those classes are required for admissions. So that's why we are highly encouraging our middle school kids, like, you gotta know, as soon as you get to high school, every single class you take is gonna be important for you, okay? So let's talk about graduation requirements and how they compare to our university requirements. So for graduation, you need 22 credits in our district, 23 if you're at PV high school and on the block schedule. That is 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, 1 PE, 1 fine art or a CTE, and 6 electives or 7 at PV high school. Okay. If your students are on track and pass everything, they will have no problem meeting these requirements. And if you're on the block schedule, you're going to get way more than 23 credits by the time you graduate. Now, how does this compare to our university requirements? It is set up so that the students, once they graduate, are aligned to get into a 4-year university right away, okay, with a couple asterisks, right? So 4 English to 4 English, 4 math to 4 math. With this, though, for university, you have to have a math higher than Algebra 3, 4. Okay, and that's really important, and your counselors are the experts at this, but there are certain high-level math classes that don't count towards admissions, like business math is not an ABOR class. Okay, so a lot of kids take business math as a senior, but it's not going to help them for admissions. Okay, 3 sciences, they have to be all labs. All of our sciences in our district are labs, so all of those qualify. 2 social studies. One of them has to be American history, and the other can be one of the other 2. And that helps with GPAs, right? So I tell the kids, your American history is counting no matter what. But if you didn't do great in world, if you do great in econ and gov, we can count those towards your GPA for admissions instead of the world. And so that's where the numbers come in.
How come it's 3 for like?
For our district?
But 2 for.
That's the state requirement, is my guess. That's the state requirement for graduation from high school, but for our universities, that's their requirements.
Are you saying you can tailor your like transcript to drop a history class and only submit 2? Okay.
Oh, yeah. So when you apply,
Yeah.
yeah, they only look at the 16 core. They don't look at the full transcript. They recalculate your GPA for the 16 core classes. And so when kids take more than 4 years, when they take more than 4 years of math, Algebra 3, 4 is the hardest. So they'll say, you know, I didn't do well, should I redo it? And I'm like, okay, but if you have more than 4 math credits, they won't even look at Algebra 3, 4. They look at the 4 best math classes.
Is that like only in state, or is that, you know, they want to go to California?
California is really different. So this is for sure in state and most public state universities. Okay, California does a whole different system. They're on an A through G admission process with crazy requirements.
Different
Yes.
slide.
Whole different, and that's maybe a whole nother day for me. And they are very competitive. Students getting into California are less than a 4% rate from out of state. Okay, so university requirements is 1 fine art and CTE, and then 2 world language. This is the biggest difference between graduating from high school and getting into an admission into our in-state universities. Okay, so we encourage your students to take language in the freshman and sophomore year and get those out of the way as well, so that they're done. Yep.
But if you take it in your, nevertheless, if you're playing I don't know if she's playing the weighted GPA game, but if she is, and the world language wouldn't be weighted. I mean, she's a Quest kid, she's an honors kid, she's maybe a DABS kid. I'm the girl who emailed you.
Okay.
So does that mess with your GPA if it's weighted? The world language, if they're not, whatever, if they're not weighted?
So if it's not a weighted, then yes, it will mess with the weighted GPA. Yeah.
So then you just need to take 2 in high school on top of the 1 you took in middle school.
Or you drop the middle school one because they're just looking at that higher, take the honors 3, 4, and then it counts.
This is what I have a counselor, it sounds like.
Or you have a third option, which is what most of the Crest families do, is that you take Spanish 101 and 102 or whatever language through the community college. You pay for those 2 classes. That's considered the 3rd year of language, but it's technically the 1st year of Spanish. So your student only has to take 2 semesters of college work and they're done. You don't have to put it on the transcript because you send the college transcript, so you don't impact your GPA and you still have met admissions. You know so many things.
Like, can you put it on your high school?
You can,
transcript?
but the college credits are not weighted. So then I have seniors that don't give me their transcript until spring of senior year, and then I put it on. So then it doesn't impact their weighted GPA.
the language, but other classes would be weighted, like pre-calculus.
No, college classes transfer back in as weighted.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like they would transfer back in as weighted.
They transfer unweighted.
Unless you do dual enrollment.
And you keep
Through
your
school.
transcript separate, unless you do dual enrollment through the school and that class is already in honors.
Sweet.
So wait, all the dual enrollment classes are
Why my
honors?
caseloads need to be lower, right?
Yeah.
So all the dual enrollment classes are honors?
No, not necessarily. Depends on the course.
Because I'm on that.
Depends on the course, depends on the teacher.
I just had what languages are offered in PV schools?
We have Spanish, French, and Mandarin online. We have a rotating Mandarin teacher, and then your student can take any language outside of the day through Rio Salado, which is,
Schools, yeah.
because here's the thing, most degrees now require a year of language. So
Yeah.
if your student gets rid of that dual credit in high school, now they don't have to take it, and you just saved a lot of money in college. Yeah. Okay.
I have a question on the world language. Sorry, did you say if someone takes, let's just say Spanish 1, 2 in 8th grade, and then they take Spanish 3, 4 in 9th grade, that would satisfy the 2 years for a university?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so A board, we just talked about the 16 required classes. This is Schoolinks. So after your student builds the course planner, this is a really cool feature I've now added. At the bottom of the course planner that says other options. And then it pops up this little slide where I've made A board. And if you click on A board, it'll open up the 16 requirements and tell you if your student's course planner is meeting all of the 16 requirements. Okay. So for this student that I pulled, world language was red. And when I open the box, it says it's missing 2 credits of the same world language. So you know, maybe I need to figure out how to put that in my course plan. For English, it pulls up all the English and the requirements are met. Anything in white, the student has already completed, or gray, and then the white one is the plan in the future. So this is a way that our school counselors can make sure your student is on that A board track if that is an option they want. And a cool feature for you guys as parents.
Yeah, what's table?
Just because it's probably so different to when I was a child. For Rio Salado, when you do those credit dual enrollments, is that something you would take at the school or online or in the summer or whenever you feel like it? Like, how do those nowadays, how does the Rio Salado credit system work now compared to when I was in high school?
I do have a dual enrollment and AP
Awesome.
slide
Perfect.
coming up.
Wait
So
for
let
it.
me get to
Yeah.
that one because I
I'm happy to wait. for it.
Okay. Oops. Okay, so let's talk about the weighted versus unweighted GPA. How many of you are familiar with this? That's good. Okay, so when we talk about unweighted, all A's are a 4, B's are a 3, C's are a 2, D's are a 1, right? And then you do the little mathematical equation. So I give myself points for each of my letter grades. I divide it by how many classes I took. That's my unweighted GPA. Okay. The weighted GPA, an A is worth 5, a B is worth 4, C is worth 3, D is worth 2. Okay, and then you still calculate the same way. Right, so that's where our universities are gonna recalculate on an unweighted GPA. Okay, only those 16 core classes though, because parents get thrown off by you see a cumulative on the transcript. That's everything they've taken, but that's not what universities are looking at. And parents are encouraged to go on, you can pull up a GPA calculator online and you can punch in all of your students' grades. And then you can say, okay, well, if he gets a B here, what would he need over here, right? And you can figure out the game if you want to do that. Questions on unweighted versus weighted? All right. I'm going to briefly talk about math progression. This is probably the toughest question for all families as they're going into high school, okay? Most 8th graders are in pre-algebra right now. So the next progression is Algebra 1, 2. As a freshman, geometry as a sophomore, algebra 3, 4 as a junior, and then a higher level math as a senior, which is typically pre-calculus. Now, it also depends on what your student wants to major in or do, because we have other options like stats or, whatever fits that degree for them. Okay. Now, we also realize we have 8th graders sitting in honors algebra 1, 2 right now. So that would mean they'd start in honors geo, then honors 3, 4, then honors pre-calc, and then the senior year they get to do an AP class. So either AP pre-calc, AP calculus, or AP stats. We also have eighth graders sitting in honors geo. So that means they start at the 3-4 level and then you keep going. So we do have a Calc 1 and a Calc 2 class in our district. We do not have Calc 3, but a majority of our CREST students, and there are other students in our district, they actually are done with calculus by the end of freshman or sophomore year and are taking Calc 3 and higher classes at the college. So there is a way for your student to continue their math progression, even if they've already seen most of these courses.
Is that only at specific school sites though?
To take classes outside of the day?
Yeah.
Nope, it's open to all kids because we don't offer the courses after Calc 2. So if you want to continue, we will definitely approve that. Questions on math? So you're going to pick your progression for your student right now in the course planner. Our middle school math teachers will be going in next week and they will actually go in and make sure that there's proper placement. And they're going to do their recommendations. Yep.
So you did say that colleges require not just the honors algebra 3-4, but then they would have to have either pre-calc stats or calc as a fourth class
But
if they're
these,
going to college.
if you started here, these would roll from middle school. So those will be on your transcript.
And they're weighted because they're.
And they're weighted because they're on. Yeah. Okay, so world language, I know we talked a lot about that, but this is not required for high school graduation. It is required for admission to your public university. However, and things are always changing, NAU's been doing a pilot for 2 years. They do not require language to be admitted to the university. And that was to open more opportunities for a lot of our families that are in the rural areas that didn't have access to world languages while their students were in school. So that's why they're running the pilot. That doesn't change what truly the admission process is for all of our other public schools. So while a student may tell me, I want to go to NAU, I don't need language, I always say, but I don't want you to close any doors. So I still encourage them to take the language. Now, private schools are different. So a lot of our kids want to go to Embry-Riddle, very popular. They do not care about a world language. They just want math and science, right? And that's fine. A lot of kids are like, that's where I'm going. Now, that means they're not ABOR for us. That's one of our points towards our letter grades. So that's also something, but that's why we do push kids to at least do the language and keep the door open. Yep.
But if you're going Ivy League, they might require 3 or 4 years of.
Oh, yes. Yep. And the more languages you have for your private schools and higher level schools, the more competitive you are to get in. Because a majority of those kids have the exact same transcript. What makes you stand out? You all have straight A's, you all have a language, but what else did you do?
Is that true for like ASU's honors college? Like to have that extra year of language or not as much?
I haven't heard that too much, no, just that you've been on the honors track. The other piece that people may not know about is American Sign Language is considered a world language. So our kids are allowed to take that at the community college or through Rio Salado online, and we will count that towards their language.
But it doesn't, like, the middle school offers it, that doesn't count, the middle school? Though?
That one is not rolling because it's probably not taught by the high school qualified teacher.
Okay.
Would be my guess. Okay, so elective CTE and fine art. Universities require at least one fine art or a CTE course for admission. Okay, and your kids are going to have many options to pick from for that. Here's what I like to tell families though. California schools want the fine art. So if you are thinking about that, I would go the fine art direction over the CTE direction. Okay. Traditional high schools allow students to complete 2 electives a year. The block schedule gives students 4 electives a year. And that's part of the block. I did link the CTE website down here so that you could see all the CTE programs and pathways that are in our district for each school, which is helpful. Questions on this one? Okay, hanging in there with me? Diploma seals. Okay, this is new by, well, it's not new. It's been going on for how many years now? 4, 5? Yeah, pretty new.
We can't add anymore.
So the Arizona Department of Education, those are all the links for all the seals, and it'll take you to their website. But this is an opportunity for kids to do extra things outside of their day and in their classroom that then recognizes them for that extra work. And so as a district, we have made district-wide graduation cords for your students, okay? So if your student gets this seal, then if it's a fine art seal, you get a purple cord and a pin. and the pin was designed by one of our former fine arts students that did get the seal. By literacy seal, that's a gold cord. The civics and personal finance are brand new. We just started marketing it really this year. And we're going to start moving the application process into Schoolinks to make it easier for kids and families. And then those are red, white, blue, and green and gold. Something new this year that we did in the course approval process. Everybody see that meeting? Right, that was a long one too. Okay. We have now added honors levels for all of our fine art classes, 5, 6, and 7, 8. We know this has been a big thing from our families. They really wanted a weighted option for some of our fine art classes. What we've done is it's now tied to the fine art seal. So if your student is going to pursue the fine art seal, then should be 5, 7, should be 5, 6, 7, 8. Those will be honors. So they'll do half of the seal in the 3rd level and the other half in the 4th level. And then they'll get the diploma seal and the graduation cord, and they get the weighted GPA for doing all the work. So,
But then also, you can complete a diploma seal without being in an honors program.
Yeah. Well, that one's just the fine art. So that was something new we did in course approval. So by literacy seal, that has a whole bunch of different requirements, right? Like, did they pass all their English classes with a certain GPA? Did they pass the Apple exam they have to take? So some students qualify for the biliteracy. How many of you are familiar with that one? I know that one is talked about a lot. They can't take the exam until junior or senior year though, because they haven't met all the other requirements.
Yeah, we have some sandpaper kids that took it freshman year, at the end of freshman year.
Right, but they don't finish the qualifications technically. Like, it's the high school English classes and GPA. There's other
then they have
components
Okay.
for them to finish the actual and get the
Got
seal.
it.
Okay. And then civics and personal finance, they do stuff outside of the day. So the civics one is cool because they can go to board meetings and count that. They can help at elections. So yeah, pretty. Okay, there are 2 other district cords that we offer, the AP Capstone program and CTE completers. So AP Capstone is only offered at 3 of our high schools, Horizon, PV, and Pinnacle. It's a 2-year program where your student is pretty much writing a master's thesis and orally defending it at the end of 2 years. They actually become a published author. So it's a pretty cool program. If they also score a 3 or higher on 4 or more AP exams, including those 2 classes, they get the College Board diploma. And so that is another recognition for them. If they get that, our district gives them a blue and green cord, which are the College Board colors. That recognizes that they went through that program.
Is the College Board diploma just like the certificate or
Yeah.
it's actually like a? Fun fact.
It's just a certificate that you download off the College Board. It'll be in their account. CTE completers. So any student that finishes the 1, 2, and 3, 4 level of a CTE class and also passes the certification exam for it will then get an orange cord to wear, and CTE does a huge event and recognizes all of those students and gives them their cords. It's pretty cool.
I have a question.
Mhm.
If you're like in a DAPS program, you do a DAPstone and you've taken a million AP classes, but that's different than an AP capstone because you didn't rattle off Shadow Mountain as one of the schools with the AP capstone, even though they're doing a DAPstone.
Correct, because AP Capstone is the AP seminar and the AP research classes, and those classes are not offered at Shadow. That's specifically the capstone for this recognition is specifically for that master's thesis that they're writing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's different than the DAPS capstone. Okay, I do want to recognize some of our community partners, and I brought a bunch of swag for you guys over there. There's some Westmec Schoolinks stuff, so please take that with you when you leave. But Westmec is one of our big partners as far as CTE pathways go. I've added some links for you, but our students apply typically in the sophomore year, fall of sophomore year, if they are interested in any of these programs. You guys saw that the bond passed for Westmec. Yes, okay. Which means possibly we are going to have a Westmec location in our district by 2028. That's what they put in the paper. That's what they put in the paperwork anyways.
Isn't this like an EBIT?
Yes, but we are partnered with Westmec. Yep. So hopefully maybe in a couple of years, we will have that option closer for our students that they could apply to those programs and bus into. We do have the new campus for Westmec is right by the Deer Valley Airport, right behind there. And that's huge new opportunities for the kids. And then a lot of them travel to the Surprise area campus. Yeah, that's
It's
their
Glendale.
biggest. Glendale?
Yeah, 51st and the 101.
Yeah, so really great. We want to get this out there. We had 88 kids last year get into the West Mac program, and it's gone up every single year for us. And most of these kids, after 2 years, they have full certification and they're making a lot of money coming right out of high school. It's great. Our other partner is PVCC and our early college programs. Just so you know, our counselors go over this every single fall with your kids. And we repeat it every single year. So they hear this over and over and over again. But PVCC is slowly, they have 3 of our high schools as our dual enrollment program. So Shadow Mountain, North Canaan, and Horizon partner with PVCC for dual. And then Rio Salado partners with PV High School and Pinnacle right now. But these are the early college programs. ACE is a scholarship program for at-risk students that meet certain qualifications, but this is a way for them to get 30 to 60 college credits before they even graduate from high school. And so this usually is in the junior and senior year, but that's fully scholarship if they get into ACE. Those kids actually go over and take a Saturday class or can take online classes. And it's neat because I teach some of those classes too. So cool to see our high school kids over there. The PUMA program is the same program as ACE, but it's not scholarship. You have to pay for those courses if you want your student to get an early start, but books are covered. PVCC pays for the books for you. Huba Learning, this is for our Native American students. They can actually start as early as 9th grade. If they have their Native American ID, it's fully scholarship for our Huba Learning students to get college credits and almost an AA degree before they leave. And then Start Sooner, that's just another program for you to start taking high school, getting high school credits and graduation for college earlier. Okay, so with the schedules, traditional versus block, a typical block schedule, there's 8 credits that they're going to get. So they take freshman language all year, algebra all year, a semester of science and they're done, a semester of PE, done, world language for a semester, and an elective if they're on the block schedule of PV. If you're at a traditional schedule, it's English all year, algebra all year, science all year, PE all year. And then you have to decide those 2 spots. So am I putting language in there? Am I putting a CTE in there? And if you want another elective, then maybe I move PE out. But you have control as a family if you want to make those adjustments. We preload PE because we want kids to get it done. We don't want seniors waiting to take their PE class and then be in a class of freshmen. That doesn't go over very well, right? But if there's another plan or an idea you have for your student, we're willing to think outside of the box.
So, yep, this year they're doing the whole paper version. And you have to turn the paper version in today at our school, but they have to have everything loaded in by Friday, Saturday, by Sunday. So if you load it in, does the paper thing come back and they undo what you did, or how does that
Well, hopefully the paper and what you're putting in course planner are the same, right? Unless you change your mind after you turn the paper in.
Well, like the paper doesn't let you get rid of PE.
Right, so I would write a note on the paper that says, I want to get rid of PE. And in the course planner, I removed it.
Because it was due.
Like, oh my gosh, I can only imagine how the 8th graders feel.
I know,
After
their
the-
brains are breaking right now.
Like crying.
I did
Seems like it shouldn't be allowed to change your weighted grade. That's my opinion as a parent who hasn't done this yet.
Well, that's stuff for our kids.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Seems like it should affect everyone the same. That evil PE course.
It does in the very end, but it's just when you put it in your schedule.
Yeah.
For the traditional versus block, does each school offer, you pick if traditional or block? Or each
PV High School is your block schedule and all other high schools are traditional.
Thank you.
Only PV is.
Now, if your student does fall off track as far as graduation goes, we do have credit recovery options. That is Sweetwater Community Schools, our alternative school. And then we do offer PV online as well. So if a student maybe fails one class, we can put them in an online class outside of their normal day to catch up. They don't have to move to an alternative school. We have other credit recovery options for them so that they're still at their high school. Okay, AP versus dual. So honors is your prereq to your AP and your dual classes, right? So usually freshman and sophomore year, everything is an honors course. This is our district flyer. We worked really hard on this a couple of years ago. So that is linked as well. But the difference between AP and dual, both options get you college credit. Okay, it just depends how you want to get them. AP, all AP classes are weighted. They're all a 5.8. So if you were thinking about a prestigious university, AP is typically the way to go because it's a universal credit. It's like higher currency value. Everyone's going to take AP. That's the way I like to put it. Dual enrollment. It depends on the class. Some are weighted, some are unweighted. Okay. So a lot of your AP math classes are also dual because you have a higher level math expert teaching it. So you can do dual or AP and you're getting the weighted. But a lot of my English classes that are dual are not weighted. They're just a regular, they're like in between an AP and a regular class. And they're not weighted. Okay, and every site is different, and every dual enrollment offering every year changes. And it changes because it's dependent on the teachers. So if we lose staffing who's dual enrollment, we may have a gap. Okay, but then the next year we might get somebody back and then fill the gap again. It's always changing.
When you say that honors is like the precursor to dual enrollment, what do you, like, they have to take the honors to go to the, or?
They don't have to, but typically you start in like an honors level freshman, sophomore year, and then junior, senior year is where you see all the dual and the AP.
Okay.
And then you're choosing. But I do have students that take regular English or math, and then junior year, they'll take a dual college algebra or a dual English. Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a kid who's like gifted honors kid, but we know they're not gonna be this go-getter, all of this weighted stuff matters, but it doesn't matter to admissions so much for like state schools, or would that not be an accurate assessment? Like, I guess how much stress do you have to be worried about this weighted GPA? Is it if your kid's like, I'm going to Harvard versus my kid, I'm convincing him that he should even go to college. You know what I mean? He's a smart kid.
So if you're going to Harvard, I would recommend that you are in all
Obviously.
APs and you're taking every exam you can and every.
But like, because like, I'm sure there are students who are like sobbing because they find out their dual enrollment is not weighted now. So like, how much does this matter for like just a regular, everyday, college-bound child?
It depends where they really want to go to college. If
Okay,
your
so
student-
it matters on the
Oh,
college.
yes. If
Okay,
your student wants to
thank you.
stay.
That's what I want to know.
I just want to share, I
Yeah.
have that child you're talking
Yeah.
about, and she actually did participate in the enrollment.
Yeah.
And she got the grades, and they went out weighted classes, and they were accepted in California.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Cool.
I mean, there are good story, I mean,
Okay.
all kids.
This is what I'm wondering, right?
Yeah.
My child is smart,
Of each school
Right.
site,
but like not
Yes.
motivated.
And my other one
consistently.
went AP,
Cool.
so went to college, so. Not.
Cool. Thank
And
you.
dual enrollment, like she said, not all out-of-state schools take the credit, okay? Most state schools take it, because we all have community colleges. But not all
That's-
Ivy Leagues do.
Yeah.
But it's really like Stanford will take dual. MIT will never take dual ever, ever, ever. So if that's the goal, I wouldn't even touch a dual class.
Yeah.
And some of the higher end schools also will not take all your AP classes. They'll.
Depends
only
on your
take-
major.
Yeah.
They'll only take like
Yeah.
certain.
Places.
I was very surprised.
Yeah.
Surprised with California, because they told us, oh, we have these credits she's gonna stay class for. But she already completed them, and we said, oh, you accept dual enrollment. From Arizona, they said, yes.
Yeah, but then you only get credit for the one.
very
it's
individual.
very-
It's so interesting.
Yeah. So if your student is gifted, high achieving, but maybe not as motivated, but they know they want to go to a state school, they want to stay here, right?
Yeah.
I always tell
Any of these
parents to
options.
blend the dual and the AP.
Cool.
And you're gonna get more bang for your buck with the dual enrollment, and you're gonna get more college credits out of dual enrollment than you get out of AP. Every AP class you take, the exam, you have to pass the exam. You don't just take the
Yeah.
class. If you don't pass, you don't get the credit.
Also, it depends where you go to college.
Yes.
For you, yeah.
Yeah, some need
Yeah.
4s and 5s and some will take 3s. So it depends, okay? But with dual enrollment, you have to take the class and get a C or higher, and you're guaranteed the college credit if the university is gonna accept dual. Okay, so for example, I always use English as an example. Dual English 5-6 and dual English 101 and 102. We all took 101 and 102, right? Freshman college English. That's junior and senior English for us. If your student takes those 2 classes, each class is 6 credits. That's 12 credits of college your student is getting in just 2 courses, which is almost a semester of college done.
Wow.
Now, if I take AP English 5, 6, and AP English 7, 8, I only get 3 credits for each one. And I still have to go take 102 because AP English 7, 8 does not count as the 101 or the 102 credit.
Do you have like decoder?
Cheat sheet.
Where can
Or
we make an
like,
appointment with you?
Yeah.
a friend at this point when it's our kid to you.
Your school counselors are your experts. They are aware of all of this. Some are younger than others. Some have been around longer, so they know more. But things are always changing too. But yes, you can always email me or call me at any time. I'm happy to help. I do miss the kids now that I'm full-time at district. I don't get to see the families as much.
You should
Okay.
have office hours, like.
I would like to do more sessions with families if that's something you guys want. I'm more than willing to do that too. Does that help with dual and AP clarifying? Okay. ACT versus SAT, both are college entrance exams. After COVID, it kind of went away from being mandatory. It's now starting to come back a little bit, okay? So it really depends on the university your student is applying to. Now, not all states require it for missions, but if you want scholarship money, that's kind of where that comes into play. So we require our students to take the ACT in the junior year. It is a junior-based exam. But if your student is ahead of the game and in advanced classes, they could take it in sophomore year if you want to. But it is technically a junior-based exam. We give it for free in the springtime. Your student can take the exam as many times as you want. There's no punishment for taking it multiple times. Now, I gave you this little cheat sheet over here that you can read on your own time, but there are different ways that universities use your scores. Okay, so California is test blind. They won't even look at it. They don't have time. They don't look at teacher recommendations. They're a whole different system. Then there's some schools that'll super score. They'll take the best scores from multiple exams and put them together. And then there's ones that are just test specific. So it depends on the university. That's your cheat sheet for what all of that means.
Do they still do like PSATs these days or no?
Yes, PSATs are given in October of the sophomore year. And juniors. Okay, so sophomore year, I encourage your students to take it. It's going to give you the good idea of where they stand. And then to qualify for the National Merit Scholarship, you have to take it as a junior. Now, the nice thing is the exam's only $15. It hasn't gone up in the past previous years, I don't think. I think it's 15 or 18. But that's early in October and it's always on a Saturday.
Wait, sorry, so if you've taken it as a sophomore, you can take it again as a junior to qualify?
You have to take it.
You have to, but you can take it twice.
Yes.
Okay.
And I say it's a cheap practice exam for $18. I mean, you might as well take it. You just have to give up a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And registration usually begins in early September, mid-September, and then closes early October. All right, so supporting your 9th grade student, attendance is huge. We know kids miss a ton of information if they're absent. So it's really important to monitor the grades and attendance in IC. Encourage self-advocacy. We love it when you guys reach out as families at the high school level. We do. However, we also want to hear from your students. And I used to tell the Crest kids, I'm like, I'm not writing a letter of recommendation for your parents when you're going to college. I'm writing it for you. So you have to come in here and meet with me, not mom and dad all the time, right? Like we want to build those relationships. Maintain communication with your school counselor, reinforce the routines and organization, and absolutely attend the 9th grade camp. It's always usually a couple days before school starts. Huge opportunity for these kids to meet all the other new students coming in and build relationships. Lastly, this is for Melinda over here. This is our college information. She's our district college and career coordinator, and maybe you guys will have her in one of these days. So valuable. I think her and I talk like 15 times a day minimum. There's such a big crossover between both our jobs. But she does a ton of college information nights. We do in-person FAFSA nights to help support you guys during that process. There's tons of resources on her website, and I have many pages. Do you want to add anything else?
And we also are really supporting that CT pathway and looking at how those connections into college by having those CT experiences and that research that's coming out now in studies that showing that they are more successful by taking CT courses because they have skills they have to develop during the course. They have those credentials that they're earning. Where then, once they get into college, they are then able to apply themselves to all of those pieces in each of their courses. So that's one of the things, that's a great thing that I'm now in CT. I used to be in assessment, only focused really on the college piece, but now we're integrating the two. To support families and students.
So just your takeaways, thank you for listening to me for all of this presentation. I know it was long, but transitions are planned, okay? We're here to support you along the way, so don't feel like you're alone in any of this at any time. Know that your school counselors are your partner, and we use data to drive what we're doing, okay? We're just not winging it, I promise you. We're looking at the data. We're your partners. You are an essential piece of this. We need you to be a part of this with us to help them be successful. And remember, students grow with guidance, not pressure. We don't want to pressure them. So those are my final takeaways. And I have a post-family survey for you guys before I start answering questions.
That we learned.
Just to see if you learned anything from my presentation and how I can
I
grow.
had no idea what any of these were, and now I can say I know what they all are.
Okay, questions.
This might be getting in the weeds, but maybe you can direct me who to talk to. I have heard whisperings and about a new program at Pinnacle that is an associate's degree track in engineering. Is that, and I know it's not under the gifted umbrella, but when can we, because I'm looking at it, is that application based? Is it just another pathway where you can like populate what you need to obtain that, but it comes from ASU, right?
Yes.
Like a degree, so it's not even a community college, it's ASU, which will transfer better.
Yeah, so we have a partnership with ASU as well. This is brand new, getting going.
Yeah.
And it's for students that maybe don't want to come to the Crest Engineering program, want to stay at Pinnacle.
Yes.
The way it's set up is there will be engineering classes at Pinnacle, but in addition, they're taking these additional ASU classes outside of the day.
Okay.
Some count for some high school credits, some don't, because they're just electives, right?
Okay.
And then that helps them with getting admission into that engineering program at ASU. So if that is the
Oh.
goal, all those are going to transfer over to that ASU.
But if they want to do engineering at a different college, do they still graduate with like that degree from ASU?
It's not a degree. They don't get a
Okay,
degree.
sorry, I thought I had
Yeah.
understood it as they were receiving an associate's degree, like in.
That's the goal.
That's
They're
the goal.
they're
I don't know if
developing
it's
that
all
program.
there
They're
yet.
still developing
Okay.
it, but that is the goal.
So check
And-
back in when he's going into high school.
Yeah, and yes, check with Pinnacle, because we are in the middle of getting all that ready to roll out. Crest is doing something similar, or PV is as well, where the kids can do some of the ASU pathway classes. And so we have a partnership as a district, so that'll be kind of the next big pieces coming out. Another option, so many options
Yeah.
for our kids.
Somebody.
I have two questions
Okay.
from our online participants. One is when should parents start looking for that 9th grade orientation camp that you talked about?
That's usually in the summer mailer from your administrators that goes out in June, I want to say is when our summer. July,
When
early
they come
July.
back from-
Okay,
yeah,
so
when
they
come
won't
back
even
from
have the
work.
date to be able to schedule on
They
their
have a
calendars?
tentative. So
Okay.
right now, the high school counselors are going into the middle schools and like tentatively, this is our date right now. And it's usually, if we start on a Monday, it's usually the Friday before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And if you have there's PE and life science, I guess those match together for the half credit.
Life concepts.
Life concepts, okay. What if someone just wanted to take the life concepts over the summer? Can they do that, or do they automatically have to take both? Or are those two different summer programs? Like you can
There's
choose
two
either.
different sessions. So
Okay.
in summer, you can pick life concepts, either session 1 or session 2. And then we have, what's it called? Women's individual sports or men's individual sports are in person
Okay,
either semester.
okay, but you
Session.
can mix and match, or you can just do one of those
Yeah.
options. Okay.
When they're after 9th grade, are there regular classes in the summer, or it's always just those language and PE options, or does PE also have regular weighted classes in the summer as well?
We only have unweighted classes in the summertime. So if your student is a high achieving and wants to accelerate, that's not the purpose of that summer school.
Yeah.
That's really more credit recovery. It's a
Okay.
6-week.
So you can't like plan
program.
ahead each year, so you can't like do the thing, like in college, you're like, oh, I wanna take this other class, so I'm gonna get this credit out of the way one summer ahead, you can't do that.
Well, you can if you want the regular. I just don't have the
Yeah.
AP option or
Yeah, yeah.
dual options unless
Okay.
they're gonna take dual through Rio. Or
Yeah.
that's a good time for press students usually take the language in the summer.
Okay.
They'll take Spanish 101 after 9th grade, and then the next summer they take Spanish 102, and then they're done.
Oh, but you could take your Rio Salado And, okay, over the summer,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Can you give like a short explanation of what weighted GPA is, because I still don't understand, because that wasn't something when I was a kid. So what, how does that, so if you take, so my daughter's about to do ninth grade, and so she wants to do 4 honors classes.
Mhm.
I think that's a lot, and so I'm just wondering, like, how, if you take 2 versus 4, like, how does the 5 versus 4, like, you're not taking every possible honors class?
So the highest weighted GPA you get is a 5.0, but with
Uh-huh.
PE, it's gonna end up being a 4.96, right? So the less honors classes you take, the less weighted GPA you have. So
Okay,
4 honors classes, I mean, you're talking about all core subjects, she probably wants honors.
yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of kids do that, you can, it's just up to you as a family if that's what you wanna do, and what is the end goal? Like, I know we talk about planning for post-secondary in ninth grade, and parents are like, but why? And I'm like, because depending on where you want to go 4 years from now alters your entire course plan and helps us prepare your student. So she's gonna have a weighted GPA if you have more honors than not.
She wants to do it, Dorothy.
I know, but she understands.
I encourage kids to at least, if your student wants to try honors freshman year, go for it. They can always decide at the end of freshman year, okay, honors English isn't my thing. I'm gonna switch to regular and a dual path, but I love math and science and I'm gonna stay on that honors track.
But also they can get a B and it counts as an A.
Yeah, so it
compared
won't
to
hurt
the
her
other
GPA, like it would.
But we,
Yeah.
Well, but when they unweight, you're right, if they
Yes, and
unweight it,
it's
it doesn't.
unweighted when you recalculate for admission.
Oh, yeah.
Then all those B's come into effect.
No, it's good, this is information we need to know.
I can't wait for my child to deal with this.
Okay, any other questions? Sorry. I could talk all day long
This
about this,
is
so if
so
you guys want me to
This is
come
very
back. and-
Incredible.
It's okay, the advice I was given was, if you think your student's gonna get a B, then you should not take the class. Like if you're at honors, AP or dual, then you should go back to regular. But if you have, feel pretty confident that you're gonna get an A if you wanna do those higher classes. Is that generally good advice?
I would say no.
Oh, okay.
It's just my personal philosophy and the research that's out there. Students that actually push themselves and maybe struggle a little bit in the honors and AP are more successful in college and don't drop out and graduate in 4 years instead of 5 to 6 years. So I could take a regular pathway, I may get a full ride, but my money's gonna run out if I'm not passing all my classes in college, right? And then you're paying for a couple more years. Or I push myself, I build resiliency, I know how to struggle, and I may get a couple B's here and there, but I am going to be more successful and ready when I get to college. That's my personal.
Student focus, excellent.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one last question from online. It said there was a third class listed as a new science option for Pinnacle Physics, not honors, but it's not on the course catalog. Does that mean it's dependent on teacher availability or student interest?
They are offering physics this year. We used to offer it way back in the day. They brought it back. They want to offer it as another freshman option. I'm not sure why it's not in the course catalog.
But she said
Or, it's a freshman.
Yeah.
freshman course. Okay. So,
Where I don't know if she's looking for course catalogs. Go in Schoolinks.
okay,
The
so,
catalog in Schoolinks is more accurate. That's where all the fees are. That's where all our course descriptions are. That's funneling straight out of Infinite Campus.
okay. And they have school links if they're in 8th grade right now?
Yep, all parents have access to that, and I will send out the presentation again that was on last night, going through all of the registration
This one's
process.
more.
Okay.
I listened to one last night, and I feel like this one I learned.
I knew I was gonna deeper on this one for sure. Sorry.
Thank you.
Continue to collaborate with, it's like in career.
Instead of that.